Hi everyone, I'm Nadia, and in today's video I'm making a beautiful set of resin coasters with pressed flowers and butterfly cutouts. I'm using resin by Craft Resin and measuring out equal parts of the part A and B and mix that together well. Craft Resin always leaves me with a crystal clear finish, and you can find a 10% discount code in my description. I'm in love with this mold shape that I'm going to be using for today's video. They're from Melb Molds, and I'll also have a discount code to that in my description as well. After my resin is mixed in well, I start pouring a small amount into each mold. And I'm going to be doing this in layers. Every time I work with flowers, I like to do a very thin base layer to set them in place, and then add more layers to cover them. I use a torch gun to pop any air bubbles. And then I'm using my silicone makeup brush to make sure that the resin has reached the very edge of the molds. I add in a little bit more resin and then start to place in my flowers and leaves. These are all flowers that I've dried and pressed myself. A lot of them are weeds and wildflowers, which are my favorite to pick and dry. The yellow flowers in specific always dry really nice and vibrant. I love the combination of yellow and purple flowers together. This is the next day from my first pour, so that first layer by now has hardened. Once my flowers are in place, I take my selection of butterflies from Craftspire, and I'll also have these linked in my description. In one package, you get so many different beautiful small butterflies, and I love to use them in my resin art, especially when I'm working with flowers. And I placed in a different color butterfly into each mold. Once I'm happy with the placement, I start to mix in my craft resin once more. Then I just pour on top, setting everything into place. And again, I use a torch gun to pop any air bubbles. Here I am the next day demolding. I use my X-Acto knife to scrape off any lifted edges. After the lifted edges were smoothed out, I prepared these coasters for a top coat. And to do so, I flipped them over onto their backside and started to apply liquid latex. I have my liquid latex in a condiment bottle for easy application, and I pour it as close to the edge as possible. Then I use a silicone makeup brush to help spread out that liquid latex and make sure that it's reached the very edge. This will protect the bottom side from any drips of resin that flow over the coaster. I prop them up onto cups, mix in my resin once more, and then start to pour on my top coat. The next day, I come back to remove the liquid latex, and I did a pretty good job of not getting many drops flow over the coasters. Then I added a gold trim with my edding marker. And here's the final product. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. Follow me on my Instagram, Summer Girl Designs, and my mom's Instagram, Wild Heart Resin Art.